In the middle of making Merrick the Assassin, I thought about something. We have a cast with a black lead. There are several black characters in it, but it's not necessarily a black movie. But the perception might be that this is a black movie. And I think to a certain degree, it's easy to fall into the mindset of creating a film with black sensibilities. And again, that's subjective because what exactly is a black sensibility? We're not monolithic, but I think some parts of our culture are embraced more than others. And I don't really know how Merrick is going to be embraced. It's a human story. It's a story about inner redemption. In the face of not being able to really do anything and being powerless, against the reality of the character. There are certain things that Merrick can't change. And most of the transformation has to be internal because he's already committed to doing some atrocious things. But, during a conversation with some of my close friends, that are involved in film, there's that tightrope between giving the people what they want and giving the people something that they may not have considered. And perhaps Merrick falls within that realm. I'm completely prepared for conversations about, well, why wasn't this person in? Why wasn't this race in? How come you didn't have this person as a lead? And some of it comes down, to racial observations. But it's weird because race is something that none of us can change. Character can change. The content of a person can change. But we don't focus on that. We focus on the visuals. And our society, I guess, is fixated on visuals because we can't get away from them. You can't escape them. Some people are black, some people are white, some people are brown, some people, are somewhere in between. And it's rather difficult to satisfy everyone. With Merrick, I wanted to examine guilt. I wanted to examine remorse. I wanted to examine an idea of redemption. But I didn't want the aesthetic to be what was expected. And again, there's a whole genre of films, when you consider black cinema, there's different genres. Traditionally, when you see a Tubi film, there was a YouTuber. She was funny. I think her name is Kenny JD, and her excuse me, her entire thing is doing movie reviews of bad movies. And she does a lot of YouTube reviews of black movies. And I don't believe that black and bad film is synonymous. But just like any other group of people, any other culture, you have films that are deliriously bad that have a following. And I don't think that there's a real right or wrong way to absorb that genre. But I do believe that those films can sometimes stunt the creative vision of a filmmaker. And then you have to ask yourself something. Are you a filmmaker or are you just a visual entertainer? Because if you're a visual entertainer, then the expectation of your audience kind of dictates what you make. And if they're not really expecting very much, then you don't have to make very much. If they don't care about quality, then you don't have to make quality. But should that trend end? Where are you left as a supposed filmmaker? The one thing that we know is that good cinema never goes out of style. Trends go out of style. Topics go out of style. Subject matter goes out of style. But what never goes out of style is filmmaking and the craft and the art of it. And there are some people that are, that will say, well, do you make films for other filmmakers? And I've even expressed that argument. Who are you making the film for? I've had, filmmaker friends say, well, that didn't look very good, talking about another person's film, or that was not on point. But then when you look and you notice the reaction of their audience and the audience is engaged, then you have to wonder, did that filmmaker set out to do what they wanted to do? With black cinema, my concern is the same as with black culture. Hip-hop predominantly today is very violent, very irresponsible, very sexual. And we are eating it up, or at least in recent years we were eating it up. Things are changing and tastes are changing, and what people want as far as film is changing. But I'm very concerned with the possibility that our selection of films, when I skim through Tubi, if they are becoming monolithic in their creative vision. I'm not even talking about content. The thing is, you can say anything that you want if you say it well. You can, as an artist, because that's my background, as an artist, you can paint nearly anything if it's painted well. And well means thoughtful consideration. It's not even about technique all the time. There's certain nuances that I find are lacking in cinema today, and particularly with black cinema. It's very, very, if I can offer a critique, which I know critiquing anything of color is bad today, but if I can offer a critique, nuance is that part that makes things, it makes it so that a human has to investigate. There's certain things that can't be said. They have to be shown. They have to be implied. And I find with a lot of cinema, black cinema, American black, I'm not talking about international black cinema. That's a completely different thing. But with American black cinema, this nuance is completely lost. You have the content, you have the characters, you have the scenario and the story, but there is no nuance. Everything is heavy-handed. And there's this rudimentary quality to the films. But going back to the audience, there's also an audience for those types of films. So here's what I think. I think that there's room for both, but there has to be an acknowledgement that there is room for both, because there's no difference between, the ridiculousness of Sharknado as opposed to, some Tubi movie that, that's African-American made, but has a similar ridiculous plot. That's a segment of of the many genres. It's when that genre becomes the pervading genre that we have a problem. We have action movies, we have horror movies, we have dramas, we have all these things. And that's what makes the environment rich. In black cinema, there are a handful of tropes, and that's it, that are largely embraced. There's others, there are people that are making science fiction. But it's very small in comparison to, the baby mama drama hood tales that we are inundated with. And I don't critique them, but I also don't spend a great deal of time watching them either. No doubt would that audience spend a great deal of time watching Merrick the Assassin, our film. And I'm being presumptuous because I don't know yet. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if Merrick will materialize the way that we're wanting, or if it will be a mediocre project that doesn't impact either community. And that could very well be the case. I don't knock anybody in cinema because it's a hard job. This is a short film and it's taken several months to do, work schedules and so forth. People balancing their family lives. So I don't knock any filmmaker that's creating, because I know that they've given a great deal of their time and effort. I would just like us to all be considerate of the relevancy of each other's existence when it comes to aesthetic, when it comes to genre, when it comes to subject matter. And I ask that it be like early 90s hip-hop. When I was involved in music, you had the gangsters, you had the backpackers, which I was. You had different audiences that were there at hip-hop night for the same reason. And I hope we embrace cinema that way within the Black community. This is your guy, the Brave Artist, with a little bit of monologue on film and why I've always loved film and the possibilities of what film could do. Share, like, and subscribe, and let other people know about this small channel. And until the next time, take care.